Hello to my vector vixens. I'm Andrew Hochradel, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make an exploded typography diagram. I don't know how best to kind of equate this or explain it, but as we go, we're basically going to layer a bunch of effects onto type and a bunch of just individual pieces, and then we're going to do a really cool effect that makes it look like it's dimensional. So we're going to explode out each of those effects that we're adding to that type to create this really cool looking kind of diagram of a letter, right? And in the process, we're gonna learn all about the different effects that you can do to type. So if you want to join me on this journey, you can go to behance.net/challenge/illustrator. That is where we are, and that is where we live and where we will be working. If you wanna grab your source file, you can do that right down here. You can click on Get Started, and that will link you to the source file. And maybe we'll do some inflated type, and then we'll do some exploded type, or the opposite. I'll show you the lesson, and then maybe we'll do some inflated so that it's not quite exploded yet. But here we are with our source file. It is just a really big R because we're going to be working with one letter. You can do this with a lot of letters. I like to do it with one just to kind of help you understand, and then you get this cool kind of like drop cap look, very layered, Jessica-ish kind of thing. So let's go ahead and check out our challenge today. It is to create a unique letter that's layered with effects. Then use 3D tools and perspectives to create an exploded diagram of all of the design elements. We're mostly going to be using perspectives today. We'll do a little bit of 3D as well. So let's hop in. And the most important piece of what we're doing today is we need to make a copy of everything. So I'm just going to show you the quick hotkey that I'm going to be using all the time in this. Because we're creating layered typography, we are going to be creating a lot of layers. So grab this R, and we are going to Control C to copy, and then we're going to Control Shift V to paste in place, or you can go to Edit and paste in place right here. So if you see me doing that, I'll try to change the color each time. I can Control C to copy, and then I'm hitting Control Shift V to paste in place. And you can see here that it's actually pasted a copy directly in place, right? It's pasted it right on top of where it was. So we'll delete that. And chat, here's what I need suggestions for you. What are elements that we can add to a letter? We can add a stroke, we can add a crosshatch, we can add a shadow. What are some elements that you want to incorporate into this letter? And we're going to create this really cool, almost railroad inspired dimensional letter. So let's hop in and get started. The first thing that we're going to do is we are just going to change the color of this background. We're just going to make it this kind of mid-tone blue, and that way we'll be able to bring some up with overlays and bring some back with multiplies. I know that I do want to have a stroke on this. Somebody's saying texture, roughen, patterns, lots of good suggestions from chat. I'll try to incorporate those. So the first thing that we're going to try to do is we are going to add in a stroke. And this is going to act as almost like a lip on this letter, so we can get some really good dimension on it. So again, Control C to copy, Control Shift V to paste in place. You can see now I have this copy. And to shift between the stroke and the fill, we can actually just hit Shift X. If you don't want to do it, you can click on these arrows right here, and it will shift across to the other side. We're going to open up our stroke panel and align that to the inside. So as I start to do this, you'll see that it's going to generate this kind of shelf for the letter, which is what we want. We want it to look really shelfy. It's a shellfish letter. I'm sorry. But this is going to add as like a lip. If you're thinking of maybe putting lights in it, maybe we could put some lights in it, which would be cool. Maybe we'll do a couple options. What we can do here is we are going to actually add in a shadow using this back layer, right? So right now it just looks like a stroke, but let's make it look like a shelf. Control C to copy, again, Control Shift V to paste in place. And now I'm just going to click and drag holding Alt or Option. And you can see my little arrow there is changing from one arrow to two arrows. That just means that it's going to make a copy. Now, if I hold Shift, it's going to move it at a 45-degree angle. So I'm going to move it down just a little bit, and I'm actually going to use the top one to punch out the bottom one. This is going to give us our shadow, right? So let me show you, and then I can explain how it's kind of working. Is we're going to select both of those. We want to make sure that this one down here is on top, and then come down to our properties panel and minus front. Now, hold on. Well, this is good. This is good information. The filter produced no results. The select inquiry is please select two intersecting paths. What's happening here is I'm guessing that this is a clipping mask. I don't know why it's a clipping mask, but if you run into an issue, just right click and make sure that there are no options that say release. If there is an option that says release, you need to click that option. So we're going to select this again and release. We just want to release that for what we're doing with the Pathfinder. We want to make sure it's not a clipping mask. It's nothing too crazy. So we're going to come over here, click on minus front. And now you can see we have this piece right here. So let me go ahead and make this a light blue. And we are going to send it behind this stroke. So what we can do is we could open up our layers panel and you can see in here all these layers. I don't like to work like that. We can right click. We can go to arrange and we can go send backward right there and it will send it underneath. Or we can just select our little shadow that we made and hit control and left bracket, and left bracket moves it backwards, right bracket moves it forwards. So we're gonna make this one a light gray and then change the blending mode right here using transparency to multiply. And there you go. We're starting to get, right? We're starting to get a little bit of dimension there to kind of pull it into its own look. Now, a different way that we could do this is we could use a blend. We're not going to do that yet, but chat, I'm going to make a note. Blend inside shadow. That's a note for you, chat. Remind me to show you how to do that. So next, what we're going to do is we are going to start adding in some, I think some like cross hatching could be really cool here. And someone's saying some patterns. So let's do a pattern. My easiest way to do a cross hatching pattern is to just make a line using the rectangle tool. So I'll make a very thin line using the rectangle tool here. And from there, what I'm going to do is I am going to just rotate. Actually, what I'm going to do is just make right here. I'm just going to click and drag holding Alt or Option, and it is going to make another line for me. I am going to make these just a light gray because I know exactly what I'm going to do with them. And I'm going to select this one and then hit Control D. And what that's going to do is it's going to transform again. So I'm just going to keep hitting Control D, and that's making a copy and moving it. From there, I'll select all these, and I will rotate holding Alt or Option to go 90 degrees. And now with all of these, I can just pull them across and I have a nice little set of boxes, nice little grid for me here. I can select all of these and group them, and then I'm gonna rotate by 45 degrees. And I've got this really cool kind of cross-hatch pattern that I can put over my R. Now, again, guess what we're doing? We are going to make another copy. So we're selecting that blue one in the back, our base R. We're gonna copy and Control-Shift-V, or edit, paste in place, and select all of our cross-hatching, right-click, and make clipping mask. That is going to, oh, the back one still has a clipping mask. Hold, please. So remember when we had that issue, release clipping mask. So our original R was a clipping mask, which in your source files, you will need to update. I have failed you. I'm so sorry, chat. You'll need to update. So release that clipping mask, and now our R, when we try to create a clipping mask, there we go, it will work. So we're going to change the blending mode of that to multiply, and again, just move that back using the brackets. And now we have this really cool kind of cross-hatched pattern inside of our letter. I like it. I think it looks good. Someone has said to add some texture. So let's definitely add some texture here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop over to stock.adobe.com. So with this, we can grab a texture, and I'm going to do a little hack for you here. Click on free and then do texture. And from here, I kind of like this one. I want something that's subtle. So we're going to go ahead and license this texture, and I'm just going to re-download for free. That's going to save directly into my downloads, and it's going to sync to a Creative Cloud library. But if I come back into Illustrator, again, guess what we're going to do? We are going to copy that back one, and we are going to Control-Shift-V, paste in place. That's right, chat, you got it. Everything here is a layer, and that is very important for when we're going to do the exploded kind of technique. So we're going to place right there our texture, and this texture is looking a little, it looks fine, I guess. So we are going to grab this R, and I just hit Control bracket right there to move it backwards. We're going to grab this R, right click, and then make clipping mask. And on top of the whole thing, we are going to set the blend mode on this to color burn. That's going to give us some really interesting color. And I'm going to leave that over the whole thing. Now you can't see it in certain areas because the color is too bright, but we are going to use generative recolor to kind of bring this all together. What I do want to do is it's going to start getting very complicated if I keep adding things here. So I need to start locking layers. So with this texture layer selected, I'm going to go to Object and Lock Selection. And now I can't select that texture layer anymore. So it makes it a little bit easier for me to work and kind of play around with the look that I want. When do we start exploding all this stuff? Hold on, the fuse is being lit. That is what is happening currently. So we're gonna do one more effect and then we'll start exploding. And what we're gonna do is we are going to copy and then Control-Shift-V, paste in place again, right here. And we're actually going to do this twice. So we copied and pasted in place, and then I'm going to go to, again, Edit, Paste in Place, and we are going to click and drag this down a bit. So I'm holding Shift there to drag on a 45-degree angle. And yes, the wheels are in motion. That's perfect because this is about to look like railroad type. So that's perfect. We're going to select both of these R's, and we are going to hit the black. So we're just going to make it, boom, it's going to be all black. And now we're going to do a very cool hack that I love to use to create some cool, really meaty dimensional shadows. We're going to go with both of these selected, go to Object, Blend Options, and we're going to set specified steps and just set that baby to 200. Let's send it. Still going to send it. And we're going to go with these two selected, go back to Object, Blend, and Make. And now we have this really cool, chunky, long shadow. So I can select this, and we are going to right click and go to Arrange, Send to Back. That will send it all the way to the back. And now we have this super cool dimensional kind of chunky letter, right? Really cool. So I am going to make the background here just a different color. So we're going to make it maybe this dark brown. And this all looks good to me. Let's start exploding. And then if we have time, I'll show you some shading. I'll show you some blending inside the shadow, a little bit of different. And the blending shadow, which I just showed you, is the same process as here. And what that will do is just fix right here. So you see how this is not an even shadow? That's because we didn't use a blend there. So using a blend is going to make it so that you have an even shadow there. That was the blend inside shadow. We'll show you if we have time. So with this, we are going to continue on and we are going to explode this letter. I am just going to go to Object, Unlock All, and unlock all of these pieces. Now chat, you know that I want to get a little bit crazy, but we're going to get a tiny bit crazy, then we're going to get a little bit crazy, and then hopefully we have time to get really crazy. So I'm going to click and drag holding Alt or Option to just make a copy of this, and we're going to scale this whole thing down. Now, we ran into an issue. Let's address that issue together. That's what we do here on Adobe Live. This stroke has gotten too thick, and the reason for that is my Scale Strokes and Effects is turned off. So we are going to undo that, Control Z, and then we are going to hit Control K, and that will bring up our preferences. You also can find preferences over in the File menu. We're going to click right here where it says Scale, Strokes, and Effects. So click on that, and now when we scale, all those strokes will scale with me, which is good. All right, let's get exploded. So here's what we're gonna do with our kind of exploded look, is we are going to select all of these pieces, and we could do some 3D, but we're not. We're gonna do kind of a faux 3D here. If you wanna do a really cool isometric look, here's my hack for you. All you need to do is rotate by the same amount that you shear. So check this out. We are going to rotate using the rotate tool over here. And the rotate tool sometimes is hidden under the reflect tool, but we can use the rotate tool right here. With all of our text selected, we are going to hit enter. And then we are going to rotate by 20 degrees. Actually, let's rotate by -20. That'll look cooler. So we're going to rotate by -20 degrees. We're going to hit OK. And now we are going to shear from the same way. So right next to the rotate tool is the scale tool. And yes, someone's saying isometric. This is actually Jack's thing. Jack is way better isometric. This is like fake isometric. But with all this selected, we have it rotated. We are going to shear, just click and hold on the scale tool, go to shear, and we are going to hit enter, and we did -20. So we're going to do -20 right there. We'll hit OK. And you can see now we have this kind of tilted look. So this is looking okay. And actually I might want to go 15, 15. But we'll keep it here for now. Let's go the other way actually. So let's do 15. So I'm just going to rotate by 15 and then I'm going to shear by 15. And again, we're just grabbing those tools and then hitting R. Super easy. So now we can very quickly start exponentially moving these pieces as we go. So we can click and drag, and I'm going to click and drag hitting Alt or Option, and that is just going to drag just a little bit for me. And I'm going to try to make this, let's do 20 pixels. Actually, let's do this. Let's just select it and then Shift and down. So we're going to select the top object here. We're going to hit Shift and we're going to hit right and down. And we're going to do that twice, maybe. That'll do 20 pixels. So now with Shift still holded, we're going to select the next layer. And again, right and down, right and down. And we're just going to keep going here with these layers. And you'll start to see, as I grab this back layer right here, our texture, and then one right here, we start to have this really, really cool exploded layer effect, right? Which is really cool. And something like this, if we wanted to add a little bit of something extra, here's what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to Effect, we're going to go to Stylize, and we're gonna go to Outer Glow. And that's gonna give me this really cool outer glow just on this layer. So with that, it actually is, yeah, so let's do that. So we're going to hit OK here, and let's set this to like 30 because it's a little much. So we're going to hit OK, and then we're just going to start applying that to all of these layers, and that is going to give me this really cool kind of dimensional pull. And what's happening is what's interesting is this green is so bright that like nothing is affecting it. So I'm actually going to change this green real quick. We're going to change it anyway, but let's go ahead and change that. There we go. And now we've got a little more of that dimension and starting to look kind of cool, right? So we can space these out a little bit more, I think, and we'll start to get this great exploded typography kind of look. So one more here. And then over here, I believe we can delete that one. That's not what we want. There we go. Right there. And then this is going to go up that way. So now we have this exploded kind of all the levels pushing through. So now our colors are not great. So what we're going to do is we're going to select everything that has a color on it. So all of these that are actually just like shadows and stuff, we don't need to deal with those, right? Anything with a shadow, not a big deal to us right now. We only want things that are kind of solid pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select anything with a color fill, which is just these three. And we are going to go to Edit, Edit Colors, and Generative Recolor. And with this, we are going to do one of these presets. So let's do Summer by the Sea and see what colors we get. Summer by the Sea and Sea. Ooh. Okay. 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 I actually kind of like that. Okay, I kind of like this. Let's leave it. Let's leave it. I think that I like it. What I am going to do is I'm actually going to take off some of these outer glows. Not crazy about it. If we wanted to, we could fill all of these with white, and that would kind of give us a better look with the outer glow. So what I could do is just turn off the color burn here. I could fill this one with white, and it's going to really kind of condense down our look, but it is going to give us something a little bit extra that will help to fill in the look. Hey, what's up, RB? Nice to see you here. So as I start to fill these with white, you'll see that it is going to give me a little more of that dimension so we can see what the pieces are looking like. Something else that we could do is we could actually add just a top level and a bottom level to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this stroke right here. And we're going to give a little bit of reference. We're just going to click and drag so this comes down here. And we're going to change the stroke to black. We're going to make this a bit of a thin stroke. So I'm just going to set it to 2. And then I'm going to have one more stroke that's all the way here in the back, right? And maybe I want to pull it a little bit further and just... excuse me, send that to the back. So now this has all been moved on a 45-degree angle. What's cool is I can just grab the pen tool and we're going to connect some of these anchor points. So hover over where it has anchor, it pops up and says anchor point. We're going to click and hold shift and just come all the way back to this other anchor point back here. And what's cool is as you start to do this, it's actually going to look like all of these pieces are connected and pushed to this design. So it's giving you kind of a wireframe look. And the same thing here, we can kind of create this really cool effect if we grab maybe up here where it says intersect and then come all the way up to this top one. We're just trying to create a little bit of a look here that gives us that dimensional type, right? So you're seeing it's starting to hit these different layers. And if you wanted to, you could even put one on the top here and just start to push so you have some shading that goes across the top. So you can play around with how much dimension you want to put here and even change these to be kind of dashed lines. So we can select these and let's go ahead and make a couple of them dashed lines just to show you what that looks like. And we are running tight on time. I'm trying to help y'all. So you just click here on dashed line and we can actually change the gap to 2, 2, and 2. That's going to give us, that's a little too small. Let's do 5, 5, and 5. All right, that looks a little bit better. Let's change the stroke to this light gray. And then why not? Let's multiply it so you can't really get in the way. So now you'll see we have all these pieces kind of coming on the angle, creating this exploded type effect. Really cool. So if we wanted to kind of do something a little bit different with this type and add in some more oomph, what we could do is go ahead and select our blend in the background, go to Object, Expand, and then hit OK. Hit OK. It's going to give us a bunch of objects. There's 200 there. But with all of them selected, we just click on Unite. And it's going to create a shape for me that is this really nice background blocky shape. So we got this really nice shadow here. And with this selected, let me go ahead and I'm just going to pick some colors here that we can actually use to look great with like the 3 minutes that I have left. So we're going to do this blue. The background is going to go to this lighter blue. There we go. This is looking pretty good. I am going to change these to white and change the blending mode to overlay. It's going to give us a little bit. Oh no, Andrew. Help, I'm scared. All right, that looks pretty cool. But if we wanted this background, let's make it this super dark blue. If we wanted this to have a little more oomph to it, even if it was black, we select it. And then over here, right underneath our stroke and fill, with that selected, you can click on the far right one, and that is Draw Inside. And Draw Inside is really, really powerful because now we are only drawing inside the shadow. So we can use the pen tool and find an anchor point like right here. And we are just going to click and drag to the anchor points and then go behind the letter right there. And when I click, it is going to change the color. And that way we can create these really complex shadows by simply drawing inside. So the same thing here, we can be really, really messy because we're just drawing inside of these shapes and create some really, really cool shadows that might be used if we're doing this in like gold or we're trying to create this dimensional look. Now, the best part about this is I can actually come in here and with the shadow selected, I can click on Edit Contents. And now I can copy, Control C, and paste. It's going to paste those objects in. Oops. And we can click and drag, even holding Alt-Option, and just align it back up to the other side. And now, boom, we have that right on the other side. If you want to, there's a little weirdness. You can use the direct selection tool, which is A, but you can paint inside. So now when you move the shadow, all of that shading stays with you, which is really cool. So I know we went super fast today. I'm so sorry. Hopefully you can create a really cool exploded letter. Again, rotate 15 degrees, shear 15 degrees, and then just start dragging things by 45 degrees. Hold shift and drag, and you can pull out all of those gorgeous layers that you've worked with. Remember, make a copy of every single thing that you do, every layer that you make, and I will see you again tomorrow for another Illustrator challenge. Stick around. We almost made it, y'all. Stick around for the video challenge. It's going to be an awesome one. Sin Lagos is going to be teaching you how to make post-worthy vacation videos. Bye, everyone.